how the discovery of classified files in Biden's office compares with Trump's case. Now, the story, to be fair, is a story. New York Times. So you know what New York Times is going to be doing. New York Times is only going to see it from one side. It was reported that classified documents were found in a private office Joe Biden had used before beginning 2020 campaign, which prompted comparisons to former President Donald Trump hoarding of sensitive documents, which is the subject of criminal investigation. Both incidents involved office official files bearing classification, making the improperly accompanied Trump and Biden after they left office. However, there are significant inferences in how the documents came to light, their volume, and how Trump and Biden responded. Trump and his aides resisted the government's repeated efforts to retrieve them all, while Biden's lawyers reported the problem, and the White House says it has fully cooperated. Trump appeared to have destroyed official documents, There has been no allegation that Biden destroyed public records. So my question for you, New York Times, is who's raiding Biden's house when? When are we doing that? What's that on the schedule? When are people going to go through all of his the First Lady's files, her closet, everything? When is that scheduled? And is the treatment going to be the same for that to happen? Because the reaction, in a minute here, I want to actually play the clip with Peter Doocy asking, every time I can't pronounce this.
Jean-Pierre.
What's her name?
Who's the White House president?
Karine Jean-Pierre?
Karine Jean-Pierre. Okay, Karine Jean-Pierre.
Press secretary.
In a minute, I just want you to see what he asks, and then he brings up the border at the end, okay? Before we watch it, do me a favor and go put it on 1.5 speed. Go to right there and go to 1.5 speed. It's a 5-minute clip. We'll watch it in 3 minutes. But what are your thoughts before we get to this clip here with Peter Doocy and Karine Jean-Pierre?
A couple of things, Pat. First, and I asked you this before we walked in there, are there any Republicans that work for the DOJ? Do you honestly think? Are there any Republicans that work
That's a great question.
for the FBI or any of these people?
Any?
Because I'm just curious because, Adam, and I'm going back. I'm going old school. Go back to Hillary Clinton with Benghazi, okay? Go to Hillary Clinton with the emails from Loretta Lynch, who was the Attorney General, to James Comey. They live in front of our faces change. Instead of, what was it called? Instead of gross negligence, which is you go to jail, it was extreme carelessness. The Democrats take care of each other, bro. I'm telling you right now. And from what I see it, there's no Republicans inside the DOJ because these people get away with literally murder. They could do whatever the hell they want. And it's like, bro, it goes back to my point where Fox has all these eyes. Fox is number one in everything. Fox has all the viewership. And we have all this attention, but nothing gets done. Are the Democrats, is the left that in charge, Pat? And I'm going to be honest with you, nothing is going to come out about this. Nothing is going to come out about Fauci. Fauci's not going to go to jail. These people are protected, and all it is, hey, look, we caught you, and then we just move on. That's it. That's all that happens.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. And when I read the New York Times article, I just want to look around. So I don't react. I start looking around. I'm like, in a private office in a locked closet. Well, where was the private office? And I go looking around and found it's the Penn Biden Center. This is not a government office that had badge readers and stuff like that. This is very similar to what Trump had, a private office at Mar-a-Lago. It's a locked closet at the Penn Biden Center. And by the way, there's a second stack of documents that have been found in his second location, so that Biden had them in multiple locations. So I think that there's a lack of intellectual honesty about, hey, this is another president that had documents off-site, not in a secure government location, and it was merely locked in a closet, because it was a locked closet at Mar-a-Lago too, by the way. So I'm kind of with you, Vinny. You start to read between the lines, and it's like, okay, there's a pass. Okay, there's another pass. Okay, there's a pass, because they just can't wait to get to the end of the article and say, see, nothing to see here.
Yeah, and exactly. And I read this yesterday that that Penn that center received $54 million, that think tank from China. So it's kind of weird, you know what I mean? You just like you said, there's no security. They're just hanging out there. You know what I mean? They're just there.
If you're going to nail Trump for a locked closet at Mar-a-Lago, then
you mean the think tank got $54 million?
Think tank, that place got $54 million.
You have to nail them. For
Trump, what do you mean? They were taking dinner napkins that he had from dinner.
First of all, just so put the stats in place on what he's talking about, the think tank, Biden's think tank in 2018 received $15.8 million from anonymous Chinese gifts.
Weird.
And then 3 months later, May of 2018, $14.5 million donation, anonymous donation from China to UPenn. So
Weird, Pat.
this is stuff that should be. And Hunter got a $1 million gift from an anonymous donor. He sold an art piece and he got paid. So listen, it's time to, if you guys want to investigate somebody, do you know what's the craziest thing? Let me tell you what the craziest thing is. Do you know how sometimes you have a guy that used to work with me, and he would come in and he would say, you guys are doing this, and he's doing this, and that person's doing this. And I'm like, damn. So at first, I'm a newer sales leader. He's accusing, so imagine you're accusing him of doing something. And then you accuse Rob of doing something. And you're accusing him of doing something. Like, oh, shit, man, this guy's... 3 years later, you know what it was? Everything you accuse others of doing, you were doing.
Yeah.
The Democrats, the strategy they're using, if you notice a trend, what they do, Republicans don't necessarily do this. Democrats will say, Trump's got Russia, he's colluding with Russia. No, it was Hillary. Oh, you know what? This is a travesty for you to have files. No president, no person in a... It was really Biden. Oh, when it comes down to taxes, these guys don't want to give back and they don't want to pay taxes. You pull up their charity, they barely give any money to charity, to anybody. Democrats are the worst at giving money to charity. Oh, these guys don't want to care about people. You care about people. So it's almost as if it's only like the kid that points out the other kid in your family. Like you got... kids. One kid is pointing out another kid what he doesn't do. It's the kid that doesn't do it. Yeah. So it's a very interesting thing that they keep getting caught. I just want you to watch this here. Let's play this. We're playing it on 1.5. And watch the questions Peter Ducey asks and watch her reaction. And in the comment section, in the chat section, you write down the questions he's asking, fair, and her reaction to it. Go ahead, Rob.
First, does President Biden have confidence in Transportation Secretary Buttigieg?
Yes.
Why?
Because Secretary Buttigieg he respects the secretary and the work that he has been doing. You have seen the secretary on TV. You've probably spoken to him.
You've seen him on TV.
And
That's
they're doing
work.
everything that they can
Lord
to make
audio
sure
a little
that the
bit.
experience that
Andres,
have, is a good one. That's why they've held the airlines accountable. You've seen the secretary do that over and over again, and we understand. We understand what Americans have been going through these past couple of months. That's why the secretary has been very clear on making sure that they are held accountable. Has put in processes in place to make sure that occurs. And yes, the president has confidence in Secretary Buttigieg.
And then on these documents, how could anyone be that irresponsible? Isn't that what this president says about mishandling classified documents?
The president spoke to this personally. He spoke to this personally. He believes that classified documents and information should be taken seriously. He takes them seriously, and he was surprised to learn by any records have been. I disagree. Here's what happened. Here's what happened once his. Well, let me explain to you the process. Here's what happened when his lawyers found out that the documents were there. They immediately turned them over to the archives.
Right.
But they immediately turned them over to the archives. I'm not going to go into specifics, but what I'm reiterating to you is what you heard from the president yourself, Peter, which is
hypocrisy at its best,
and how he respects and truly
America's getting sick of this
and takes this very seriously. And when he knew, and how surprised he was by it, and the actions that the right actions that the lawyers took. Again, this is under investigation. This is under review by the Department of Justice, and we're going to let that process continue.
How can President Biden be trusted moving forward with America's secrets?
Because his lawyers, his team did the right thing.
But he had a closet with classified
his lawyers
information
did the right. Again,
two closets, dude.
He was surprised that the records were there. He spoke to this personally. He was surprised that the records were there, and when his lawyers found out and his team found out that they were there, they turned it over to the archives, and now it's being reviewed by the Department of Justice.
And just one more: why didn't President Biden want to see what's really going on at the border?
He did see exactly what's going on at the border.
He didn't talk to any migrants, and he didn't go anywhere that people actually crossed illegally.
You can stop it here.
He met,
Positive. So you see that. What are your thoughts, Adam, on her reaction?
Well, obviously, her job is to defend the president. Whether it's Huckabee Sanders or Caitlin McEnany or Sean Spicer, your job is to represent the president. I just think I'm at a point where I don't think either side has a monopoly on being righteous. And I don't think either side has a monopoly on lying, cheating, and stealing. So what do I actually think? I think Trump did some shady shit, and I think Biden did some shady shit. And I think both sides are going to call each other out. They're going to have a
don't
food
do
fight.
that right now. No, don't do that. Adam.
I just did.
Great. You can. Then moving forward, we want to ask you for your counsel on this.
But
what I'm saying, but listen to me. Isolate the concern. Isolate it. Don't give a bullshit answer like that.
Why is that bullshit? I think they're both
That's
guilty.
a copping out answer.
I don't think so at all.
Isolate the concern. In this case, where a person judges the other person, which Biden judged Trump. Trump never judged Biden on this area. Biden's judging Trump on what he did. Then he does it. What do you think about this isolated incident
I'll give you a
with the way
specific answer.
Biden handled it?
I'll give you a
Go for
specific
it.
answer,
and
I'll
don't
give you
give
a
a
macro
cop-out answer. Everybody does it. That's a cop-out answer. Give us a really in-depth analysis of what you think about this.
I'm not going to give an answer that you
Let's
want to hear or
It's
the
not-
audience
it's not about-
wants
it's
to
not-
hear.
it's
I'm
not
going to give
about-
my opinion.
But it's not about what we
It's-
or the audience. Listen, no. Hang on one second. It's 2023. We have to improve. You have to improve. Hear me out. No. Listen. This conversation we had the other day together. Don't give a cop-out answer. Give a real answer. If somebody, like, if you ask me, like right now, okay, if you ask me with Trump, I won't sit there and give an answer about, well, this. I'm going to say that's a screw up of what just happened here. You're hearing this guy, they go raid his house, they go into the wife's closet, public, FBI, Garland, everything.
SWAT team at night.
Then you hear something like this and you say, they both lied, that's my answer. You think, by the way, if the show is for the audience, you think the audience won with that answer?
Okay.
I'm asking actually a real question here. You think the audience wins with that kind of an answer?
Yes, because I'll tell you why. Can I?
Go ahead.
All right. Number one, I'm saying that Biden fucked up, and this is hypocrisy.
You did not say that, though.
I'm gonna.
You're now saying it.
I said that he's guilty of hypocrisy, and that no party has a monopoly on righteousness and lying, cheating, and stealing. We just had a conversation with Neil deGrasse Tyson, who in his entire book broke down the fact that both motherfuckers lie, and that the Republicans are the party of family values, and Republicans preach family values. Well, if you actually look at the numbers, it turns out that the people who stayed married the most, the longest, and get the least divorced are the people in Massachusetts and the liberals.
This concern?
I'm not isolating concern because there's a part of a macro perspective is that Biden lied and he's cheating and stealing and Hunter Biden's guilty. That doesn't mean the fact that Trump didn't lie, cheat, and steal. I think they're all scumbags.
So just so you know,
sure, I cop
but
out
I don't
by saying
think
that they're both guilty.
I don't think that.
So you're saying that Biden's guilty, but Trump's not.
No, I think.
Is that what you're saying?
I think the part about this specific thing of hypocrisy, if you're going to bring that up and to say, it's both sides. No, both sides don't make fake narratives about Russia for 3 years and talk about it on people like you believe it.
Okay.
Both sides don't create fake narratives about what's going on with, files, and they go to his place and embarrass the shit out of the guy. And that's never happened in the history of America to a president. Both sides don't do it. Only one side does that.
If you're asking me if Trump was treated unfairly, I'll say yes.
But it's not.
But it's not like Trump didn't shoot himself in
nobody
the
is
foot a
saying
million
that.
times.
If we haven't, the next topic we're going to is Trump's CFO. What are you talking about? It's the next topic I'm about to go into.
My point exactly, because he did shady shit also.
No, it's called isolate the issue.
Okay.
If I'm having a conversation with a person and the conversation is around an issue, that's this issue. Don't give me another but. Yes, we all agree, but. In this area, if you look, okay, what is the criticism I give Republicans? What is the criticism I give Republicans? What is it? Okay, what is the criticism I give to Christians? Why was I an atheist for 25 years? Why am I very careful and uncomfortable about talking about the fact I go to church on Sundays? Why am I very uncomfortable with trying to, I don't even want to almost advertise that part. Like, I'm a Christian. Why don't I do that? Do you know why I don't do that? Because too many people from the other side use that as a way to be almighty and judge the other people to be perfect, and behind closed doors, they're doing some shit.
Self-righteousness.
But that is a isolated concern to that area. That is the criticism they deserve. Mm-hmm. In this one here, on this isolated issue, this is hypocrisy. This right here, when you're sitting there just a few months ago, you're acting holy and knowing, do you know how many presidents and VPs have had declassified paperwork at their house? Do you know how many of them have had it?
Tell me.
Every one of them.
All of them do.
But no, it's not okay.
No.
It's the okay where when Trump had it, for people to say, yeah, we all have it. No. They turned it into the end of the freaking world. And then when this guy has it, what does Joy Behar say? Joy Behar says, well, listen, this is really what it comes down to. I trust Biden and I don't trust Trump.
Yeah, great answer.
No, I'm sorry.
We know Trump lies, and we know Biden doesn't, is what you said.
That's what I want to hear from you on this topic. If it's a topic about Trump, one time Donald Trump Jr. is out there and they give this speech with him and Kimberly Guilfoyle. Do you remember that one time they gave the topic and we're like, What the hell were they on? Do you remember that one time, a year and a half?
Kimberly Guilfoyle gave a speech clearly on cocaine.
Okay.
Okay.
But the point is this: we don't hold back from having opinions on issues. This right here is purely hypocrisy.
I agree with you.
This right here is hypocrisy in this sense, and they're not being held accountable to it. He's getting away with murder. What Hunter's done, none of Trump's kids have anything but the way the market sells it. But Trump's kids are bad and Biden's kids are good. They'll do a softball interview with a guy like, Hunter. Well, listen, life's been hard, hasn't it? Yeah, and you're trying to change. What's wrong with that? Jimmy Kimmel does an interview like that. And next thing you know, the interview with the other guy. So on this part here, Adam, this is not, they're both liars. Both sides of politics lie. That part of the question is out the window. This is which one uses the level of manipulation the way that they do. Nobody uses manipulation like the left. Nobody. The right acts righteous, annoying. The left manipulates. They divide. Mm-hmm. That is their level of expertise. This is the whole concept with this part here. You sit there and you act like your people on your side. Well, I trust those guys, but the other guy, God forbid. Like right now, have you seen what's going on with Stephen A. Smith right now? Have you seen how much hate he's getting, Stephen A. Smith?
I saw a little bit before we walked in here.
Stephen A. Smith is getting hate just because he's running a podcast and he's having Sean Hannity on, or he's having all these other people on. It's like, how could you have somebody like that on there? Bro, I want to talk to these guys.
Yeah, just like you are.
Because I want to talk to these guys. So Iranian people calling me, why are you having Reza Aslan on? Do you know he's Nayak? Do you know he's this? I don't care. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I want to have these people on. But as we're going and we're talking topics, I want us to give isolated issues with this rather than just a lazy comment of saying, everybody's doing it. We don't benefit from that. We actually want to know how you think about it.
Yeah, well, number one, just to be clear, I started off the entire conversation with saying this is hypocrisy. But I also am able to walk and chew gum at the same time and say, hey, you know what? This specific incident seems shady as hell and should be investigated. But from a macro perspective, I think they're all freaking shady. And I think they're all two-faced. And I think that they're all up to no good. So I think it's a level of media and media scrutiny. So on one hand, it's like, well, if you're complaining about what the left's doing, then fucking do it also, Republicans, okay? Like, don't just they have a strategy that's working? Well, why don't you use it? Oh, there's too many professors in in school that are liberals? Well, why don't you go get some freaking jobs, Republicans? Oh, the media has a monopoly on what they're saying? Well, start a fucking media company. So what I'm saying is, like, there's isolated incidents and there's macro perspectives. I happen to think that Trump did some shady ass shit and he should be held accountable. I also think that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden have done some shady ass shit and they should be held accountable. And my entire point here is stop mudslinging and food fighting at the other team and hold everybody accountable. And that's where I stand on this.
Yeah, unfortunately, Adam, the problem with what you're saying, no one can sit here and tell us we only bring one-sided guests. No one can say that.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So no one's going to sit here and say we only bring people we agree with, or we only do this, or even us at the panel here that we have that we all 100% agree with. No one's going to say that about us. We'll sit there, we'll have the conversation, and we'll still go have lunch today and not have a problem. We're isolating this concern to show how one side is being treated versus another side. You know, when you're going to have kids here soon. When you have multiple kids, you know what's the most annoying thing that kids get frustrated with parents?
When you favor one more than the other, I'm assuming?
When it's double standards. This morning, we have a new rule now. The kids have to be out of the house by a certain time, or else the kid that caused being late owes $1 to the other two. Okay? One of our kids today was late by 1 minute. He owes the other two $1. You know what's going to happen? He's going to come, but that's not fair and da-da-da-da-da. But he's going to say, let me tell you, I'm fair with all of you guys. When that person's late, when this person's late, you got to do the same exact standards. Here's what you got. They're not doing that. The way they being the DOJ is the reason why you asked the question saying, what are how many Republicans on the DOJ? Like, you really think the DOJ is going to investigate and get to the bottom of it?
No way.
We just found that FBI, the government's been spying on us. Like, oh, we're going to investigate this. So let me get this straight. It's like saying, Adam, I think your taxes have been a little bit off. Adam says, you know what? Let me go audit myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to go audit myself. And
what's the reason, though?
What's the
why
reason for what?
I literally don't know the answer, but Vinny brought up the question, how many Republicans are in the DOJ? Well, is it because is there a Democrat president? Is it because
Twitter,
the FBI and the DOJ is
in bed together? Yeah.
But how does that happen is what I'm saying.
So check this out.
They don't just recruit
so
Democrats.
Here's a question. I dare you to go on CNN and MSNBC and actually look how many times they've covered the Twitter files. You know what the answer is?
I have no doubt that it's not that much.
But do you realize how important that is, that the government is telling Twitter to silence certain influencers and certain stories, not to post something, and channels were taken down people who rely on the source of income just because they had a different position than the government. Somebody from the White House called and said, shut that person's account down, clean that person's place up. That's not both sides. That's one side that's doing this. That's the part that it's isolating this issue. That is the part. We can isolate the issue of people on the right and church and how righteous and all that. We can isolate the issue with Catholics, church. We can isolate the issue with every single thing that we do. In this area, when it comes down to people being held accountable, historically, the left is rarely held accountable when it comes down to institutions such as DOJ, FBI, and others. Historically,
and Pat,
recently,
they're in and they're
recent, not historic.
I would say recent.
Yeah, exactly.
So I corrected myself and I said recent.
Bro, just from the video that Rob played from just the White House briefing, have you realized the difference of, remember the White House briefings during Trump, let's say, with Sarah Huckabee, from all of them? It was a shit show. People were yelling. Everybody, dude, you couldn't even speak in there. Do you see how right now it's just one guy? It's Peter Doocy. He asks he's not aggressive like Jim Acosta. No, sir, Mr. President. It was a shit show. Now it's like everybody's behaved because they're all on the same team. They're quiet. You realize there's only one guy in that whole goddamn room asking tough questions. And they laugh about it. She tells them the bullshit story and they move on. It's like, and look at
this goes back to the initial point that I made in the first part of the podcast with why Greg Gutfeld is winning the late night TV wars, is because who's getting into journalism? Who's going into journalism school? Who's becoming writers? Who are the professors? So you're complaining about the effect. What's the cause? What's the symptom of this? Is that more liberal leaning people are getting into news, media, entertainment, writing, performance. So what do you think it's going to be biased? We talk about liberal media bias. So all you conservatives out there, encourage your kids to become better writers and get into liberal arts and go into media, or just same old, status quo. So what I'm saying is, like, yes, you are right. Yes, you are correct. Yes, there is liberal media bias. Yes, they don't cover a lot of stories. What are you going to do about it? Because you already know the answer. Yep. You just complain about it. That's one part of things.
That's all we do.
Or you're going to raise your kids and tell your kids to go to college. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like, I agree, but there's a bigger perspective out there. That's all I'm saying.
So, Pat, I just want to ask you really, really quick. So somebody that's frustrated because I never knew what left or right was till 9/11 when I was in the military, and then I started seeing everything, bro, from the lies to the truth. So I'm where I'm at right now. Is one side so in control, because we're seeing it right now, that with all the stuff that the left gets away with, the right, they hold them to the fire, but are we just screwed in the fact that, like, all this stuff could come out from the Twitter thing to Biden to the all the classified, and nothing's gonna happen? Nothing's gonna happen to
I don't think
from
that's gonna be
Fauci
the
to
case.
none of them.
No, I don't think that's the case. I just think it's not going to happen right away. I do think it's going to eventually happen. I do think eventually, the way the House flips, when one side abuses power when they have it, here's a problem. When you're so powerful, you use your powers to bully, all you're doing is developing a delayed time bomb of the other side getting also more powerful, so they're going to retaliate and bully you. There's a reason why when somebody has all the power in the world and they don't bully, they gain respect. To say, hey, this Marcus Aurelius guy meditations, you had all the power in the world, but the people loved you for the 7 years you were there from 62 AD to 69 AD. People loved you because the way he was with his people. And he had a slave sitting behind him telling him, hey, just so you know, you're a nobody. You're a regular guy. You're not that special. A guy whispered that to his ears.
You're mortal.
You're mortal. You're going to die. This is like that. He needed that as a reminder. This is going to keep going back and forth, and it's not going to be pretty on the other side when they come and get him. But at the same time, it is true that people are sitting there, like right now on Twitter. Another student yesterday, unfortunately, had a heart attack and died.
21 years old.
Yeah,
right?
21 years old. This keeps happening, right?
A lot.
And guess who cares about that kid's life the most, and who's going to investigate the cause of it the most?
His parents.
His parents.
100%.
Okay. And do you think parents are ever going to forget that?
No.
No.
Ever.
Ever. Parents are going to sit there and do as much due diligence as possible. Just like Robert De Niro, who cannot stand Donald Trump, can't even control himself.
Hates him.
But ask about his 23-year-old son. Go ahead and ask how he feels about certain ways things are handled. Go ask about his 23-year-old autistic son, and so see how strong opinions he's got. When it becomes personal to your life, politics don't matter anymore. Things change. And more people are starting to ask these questions, say, why can't we hear the opposing side? There's a video that went viral yesterday, commercial that was made. I posted on Twitter. I don't want to share it because we're on YouTube platform right now. It's called the Kaufman Institute of Coincidence.
Okay. Oh.
Did you see this video or no?
Yeah,
Have you guys seen this
no,
or no?
but I
The
wanna-
Kaufman Institute. Have you seen this commercial, Kaufman Institute of Coincidence? Yeah, people are starting to ask, why is this happening and why is it not being investigated? So Jon Stewart, he ain't no Republican. He's a guy
love
that's going to say,
Jon.
how come we're not investigating where the virus leaked from? And the answer is what nowadays? Who cares? It's all
Nobody
what's
cares.
done is
It's over.
done.
It's over. Yeah.
What's done is
not
done.
over.
Yeah, okay. What do you mean what's done is done?
Sure.
Yeah, what's done is done. Hey, studies are coming out saying the people that got the, are the ones most susceptible to continuing the next variant of it. Well, it's listen, stop being paranoid. Stop being paranoid. Those people who have been pushed like that, Joe and I were talking last night, 2 nights ago. He sends me 4 articles to read about what's going on with after our podcast with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And we're talking, and he did a great podcast with him. He's on multiple podcasts with him, and he said you may want to go listen to Rogan. Yeah, and Rogan did a podcast with Brett Weinstein. Okay, I'm going to give you the time. I want you to listen after this podcast. I want you to go download Joe's podcast. I'll tell you which time to go. It's 3.5 hours, but wait till the end for me to give you the time to listen to it. And we'll put it in the comment section in the chat. Put it at the top. Comment it above at the top. So people, if they want to go listen, maybe we'll put it in the description so people can see it. I'll give you the exact time. Him and Brett are having a conversation, and this is why people love Joe Rogan. This is why everybody in the world has to watch this clip. It's 9 minutes. And he says, well, we have to hold these people accountable and da-da-da-da-da. And Joe says, no, I disagree. Let me tell you why. He says, look, I've been wrong many times. There are a lot of people that disagreed with me. Some that took it, and now they regret it. I almost took it. When I first did the first podcast with Michael I almost took it. I almost thought about it. And then I did research, and I felt bad. And I this. If we are constantly going to be judging people for mistakes that they made, we're not going to make progress. We have to forgive them. We have to be charitable. I mean, he sounded like a pastor. I'm not, and he's like the furthest guy from wanting to be a pastor. That message was so flippin' powerful because he says, that's the mindset. Like yesterday, this guy named Dr. Shiva. Can you pull up go to Twitter? He tweets something and says something about Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Just go to my Twitter account. Go to my Twitter account. I retweeted his tweet. If you go to my Twitter account, go to my Twitter account. You go to my Twitter account. He tweets something and he trolls, what's his name? He trolls Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, go down. Hopefully these tweets will show up. Go lower. If you can go lower. I hope it's not disappeared. Keep going.
What
keep
a
going,
song,
keep going.
Pat.
Oh, song, bro.
Oh, my
Keep going.
God.
Yeah, I know.
You have to hear this song. It's
Keep
ridiculous.
going lower. I hope it
Ocean?
doesn't do what it does. It's right there. Okay, right there at the bottom. So click on that one. Perfect. So zoom in into Dr. Shiva's tweet. Okay. So he says, Neil deGrasse Tyson, your claim everyone must be vaccinated for the collective good is ignorant. As an MIT PhD in systems biology, let me educate you on the immune system so your head may emerge out of Uranus.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure Patrick Bet-David will host. Okay?
Oh,
Dr.
wow.
Shiva. Now, by the way, to give him credit, this guy is potentially recognized for inventing email.
Yeah, he's
He's not like
of email.
Yeah, he's not like a regular guy. by the way.
Email?
No. This guy is
He
a
invented
heavyweight.
email?
So here's my response to him. Here's what I said to him. I said, your approach is part of the problem. Both sides tend to come across arrogant, pompous, and not willing to budge, which doesn't create a climate to have a healthy scientific debate. Both sides can be wrong and right at the same time, and that's okay, which is where people win, okay? So what's the point
Nice.
here? You're inviting a guy to want to debate you, but you're doing it in a way the guy's not going to debate
I wouldn't
you,
want- yeah.
okay? So the challenge here is, in this argument, yes, the left may have had vaccine wrong.
Yeah.
And everybody needs to sit there and say, hey, guys, listen, if you're Catholic, we got some things wrong. If you're this, we got some things wrong. Can we all improve? Can we synergize and come together? Or what is it that we're going to be doing? Well, we have to isolate concerns and issues and address them head on. This area, you guys screwed up. That area, we spent too much money in military. This area, Iraq was a waste. That area, the way we left Afghanistan was a mistake. That area, Ukraine, you were using it to make money. This area, North Korea, this. That area, tariffs, China was the right move. That area, Iran, why are we giving these guys their money back? That we have to isolate each concern and realize that on both sides, if we isolate them, we will notice ain't nobody makes 100% of the decisions the right way.
You're right.
The one area that the left has a monopoly on is manipulation. It's the one area.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.